Hi, my name is Pawan Oberoi. I'm part of the whiteboard chat team. I have my colleague Sid here with me. So we are going to talk about the advanced features of whiteboard.chat today. The agenda is the same. We demonstrate all the advanced features of whiteboard.chat, especially things that we have added in the recent past. Then we'll ask you to join us and experience live some of the features that we will show you. And then we'll do question and answers at all times. So if you have questions, feel feel free to type them out on the Zoom chat, and we'll pause periodically and answer the questions. We also stay back after the webinar if people have other questions post uh, the top of the hour. So if you want, you're welcome to stay back and ask questions and interact with us. This is the main feature of whiteboard.chat, as you guys must already know, that it allows the teachers to see how the students are progressing with their lessons and then engage them. And then if they need help, you can join them on a one-on-one basis on their board and then help them out, right? Whiteboard.chat keeps growing, is used all around the world. We are more than 500,000 users per day. It just keeps growing and growing. Here are some example boards, group boards that teachers have created. So we'll show you how to create some of these group games or group boards in today's webinar as well. There's another one. And as always, please keep sending us feedback because whiteboard.chat is completely based on suggestions that we receive from teachers from around the world. So either you can email us at feedback at whiteboard.chat. You can send it to us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. We also have our own YouTube channel where we'll upload this video, as well as you can see other webinar videos and other short videos there as well. And there's also a Facebook group called Teachers Using Whiteboard.chat where teachers interact with each other and with us. So if you like Whiteboard.chat, I recommend, and you're on Facebook, I recommend you join that group. So that said, we can get started. Another thing that we recently put here is basically we had turned off board expiry for some time. So please make sure you turn on your or save your boards. So because we'll turn it on this coming weekend. So to start using whiteboard.chat, you just click on start drawing. We're not talking about a collaboration mode because that's it. Like any other whiteboard, we'll talk more about the teaching mode. So hit start teaching, right? And then you can upload files. So I will show you some of the newer features on the left-hand side here. So let me first upload content. So I'll just upload my favorite 3-page PDF here. The 3-page PDF gets loaded. One of the things that you can do is if you click the bottom left button, you can see a thumbnail view where you can change the slide order, you can delete them, you can hide them, you can add passwords, which I will show you as well for escape room type activities. We will create one together and then you can try it out as well. So that's the sidebar. If you open the tools menu, you can see all the tools. We have a crop tool built in, which or select tool built into whiteboard.chat tool. You can just use that. You can either copy a certain area from the PDF itself. So you can say, hey, create a copy, and then you can paste it as many times as you want, right? So if you wanted to create parts of the lesson, you can do that, or you can crop it to a certain area as well using the select tool. So you can just say, hey, I only want these 4 questions, right? And you can crop it and everything else will go away except the area that you picked. So that is useful for creating your lessons with the select and the crop tool. You already know about the YouTube editor with the embedding tool. With the website embedding tool, you can also embed Google Slides if you want to. So this is very easy. If you go to Google Slides, let's say Google Drive, right, and then let's say you pick a Google slide. This is a Google slide. Right, you can say, first of all, you have to make sure you can share it. So you can say share and then say change to anyone with the link. And then you copy that link. And then you go back to whiteboard.chat and then you can embed the slides right here. So one thing to note is that instead of edit, if you set this to preview, right, the slides render really nicely inside whiteboard.chat. So when I invite a student, one easy way to copy the invite link is instead of going into invite, you can of course post it to Google Classroom and Teams as well. But one easy way is just to click here and it will copy the invite link to your clipboard as well. So again, I'll invite a student in an incognito mode. And then I paste that link that I copied. Give it a name. Oh, I forgot to. I can invite Sid also. I'll send him a link too. And then you can see on page 2 where I had embedded the slides, they get the slides too, and they can go back and forth really easily and watch the slides. Of course, you can convert them to PDF and make them part of the board, but if you just want them to reference it, that's easy as well using the embed tool right here. Okay. So then some other tools, the software tool, you can have kids write some small pieces of software. So if you want to, for example, I go to page number 4, you can have them program or do mathematics using the software tool as well, right? So you can just put a box here and then you can write JavaScript in here. I'll put a snippet of the JavaScript. Right? You can pick one of the robots from our manipulative libraries and you can, or one or two of them, and you can just run it right here. Right? So you can see that it's going to execute the software that I have written right here on the screen as well.
For some reason, it looks like your share session is frozen.
Oops, sorry. How about now? Is it better?
Now it's better. Yes.
Okay. All right. So sorry about that. So yeah, you can write the software in this box. Once you put the software in and then you hit run, it'll create these robots and move them around, right? This is JavaScript, right? Okay. So that's easy. Now if I clear the screen, I can show you some more tools that we recently added. Of course, we have all the factories. I'll show you the factories one more time. There is especially the tile factory, which can be used to make several different things. You can make cards, matching cards. For example, if I want to make, you can put two sides of the cards separated by a semicolon. So you can say this is the moon. You can put emojis in here as well. And this is the moon. And you can say make cards. And remember to check if students can move so that the kids get access to it. So now if the student goes to screen number 4, so they can say, use the select tool, and then they can use the flashcards as two-sided. Right? There's another way to make the cards as matching cards instead. So you can actually, instead of make cards, you select matching cards, right? And that will make, for each side, it will make a card. Then you can scramble it around, right? And when the students actually select the right pairs, so for example, if they select this one and this one, nothing happens. But if they select the right pairs, the cards vanish, right? And you can watch all of this in the grid view as well. As the students are doing this game, you can see that what the students are doing very easily on the grid view. Right. While I'm at the grid view, I can also show you this. So we recently added this engagement calculator. So it shows you how well the kids are engaging with the lessons, right? So you can see if like somebody is really drawing stuff, they're writing a lot of things, their engagement scores go higher, right? So this is for the last minute, the first one. The second one is what their what their average was, and the third one is their peak. So now you see, because I was interacting a lot as a student on this whiteboard, my scores went up. And since Sid is not interacting as much, you can see that his score is trending down. So you can instantly see which kids are really engaging with the lesson and which kids are not. And you can also see a graph. If you click the 3 dots menu, you can see the engagement report, and you can see per student, how are they progressing with respect to engagement. So that's also useful.
Do you want to pause for a couple of questions?
Yes, sure.
So one was, could you go where you found the emoji for the cards again?
Yeah, so the emojis are part of your OS. That's not part of our tool set. So if you, if I just say Tile Factory, you can just right click if you're on a Mac or PC, and you can say emojis and symbols, and then you can find all the things that are in your yeah, I think that's a card.
And then since your screen was frozen when you were doing the coding thing, could you show what you were really doing?
Okay, yeah, so let me do that one more time. So I go to page number 4. Let me clear this. So for the programming thing, you just, it's JavaScript only. So you can say write software, right? So you can just put a software programming box here, right? And it'll create this. And then you can put, either you can type it in here or you can just paste it in here. So it's saying, hey, add one robot from the robot library. So I can pick any robot. So if I open my manipulative, right now this just works for robots, but you can change it. So for example, this is 0043. If I want 0032, I can change that one here. So say 3 and 2, right? And then they say, okay, then you have a function that basically moves their position on a periodic basis, right? So now you can see that I picked a different robot. So, and then we can, if you're interested, we can post the sample as well as some of these functions that we have defined to create rectangles, circles as extensions to JavaScript. So you can use that to teach simple coding to kids. And of course, you can use any of the JavaScript functions as well. So if you want to use maths.sine, math.cos, whatever, right? You can use those as well.
So it's primarily JavaScript that is supported, right?
That's right. It's only JavaScript right now. Others have asked us to support other languages too. So we might add Python or something else in the future. But right now it's only JavaScript.
Okay. And the demonstration that you did with Google Slides for the website and the sharing, can it work with OneDrive as well?
So right now, PowerPoint doesn't like to be embedded as well as Google Slides. We are trying to figure out if there's a way to embed PowerPoint in there too. Once we do figure that out, we'll post it.
Cool. Thanks. You can keep going on.
Okay. So let me clear my screen. Right, and then there are other factories here. This is a form factory where you can easily create forms as well. This is useful too. So if I use the form factory and I want to create a form which has multiple questions, what did you eat today for breakfast? Right, and then you can, C means you can select multiple answers. So it's a checkbox, right? So there is a help here. So you can have multiple answers. I can say cereal, bread, eggs, right? And then if you want more questions or like a text box, you can just say T and say comments, right? And this will create this form here, right? So the kids also get a copy of the form, of course. Right, and then so the kids get a form and they can fill in, hey, I ate cereal, I ate eggs, and if they have any comments, I am pretty full, right? They can just type it in the text as well, right? And then they can hit submit. So make sure the submit button changes color. So that means it actually gets submitted properly, right? And then if you go back to the teacher board, you can see the results of all the kids, right? You can see, hey, what did the kids eat? By default, the names are hidden. You can hit this button and you can see who wrote what. And there's a word cloud that comes up as well based on common words that people used in their answers. Right? You can also show the results on the canvas. So if you want to put the results back on the canvas so that it is shared with the kids, either with their names or without their names, you can just click this button, right? And you can see that now the student's name is shown to everybody as well as their answers, right? So they can all see what Sid ate and what the student ate. So it's easy to share them without sharing your screen as well. Okay. So moving on, let me go to the next page. So these are the factories. We added no music instruments. I think we added a molecule editor too. So the molecule editor is just like a calculator, like it's a different object, but you can create molecules. I don't know that much chemistry, but so essentially you can create molecules, really complex molecules with the molecule editor. And then I think it's like this, right? Yeah, there you go. And you can keep creating them. And if you want to export them and save it on the board, you say copy as SVG, as scalar module, right? And then you paste it on here. So then it becomes part of the whiteboard and the kids can see it. Or if the kids paste their creations, it gets pasted onto the teacher's board as well, right? And you can edit these too, right, Sid?
That's correct. Yeah, you can copy the SVG and put it back in there to edit it.
Yeah. Okay. We added, I'll show you the drop zone also. There are several functions that the drop zone can do, right? So let's start with the most basic one, which is auto correction. So you can say, hey, I want to create a drop zone which will do auto correction for me, right? So I'll create a drop zone. I can pick anything from either the manipulative or even from the internet, right? I can pick anything, any object from anywhere. So let's say I want something simple first. I say I put I want the kids to create 120, right? So I say your task is to create 120 with the blocks, right? And then I say move and resize this guy to make it smaller. And this one a little smaller. And I say, of course, you can say enable student loan. This one also enable student loan, right? And to set up the answers, you just either use the copy paste, which is Command C, Command V, or you can use the clone tool to put the copies of, don't put the actual object, but copies of these inside here, right? And then you can say, right click this and say add answers and points. So you're telling the tool right now that this is the right answer, what is already existing in this box, right? So it says it's worth 2 points, right? And at that point, it'll remove the correct answers, right? And then when you invite the students, they'll come and they'll say, okay, I need to create 120, right? You can also put a autocorrect link in here so that you don't have to do the auto correction. The tool, the kids can do it themselves. So you go back to the tools, you can say add link, right? And the link type is autocorrect and say, correct, give it any label, right? And put this link here. So when the kids click this, they can do their own auto correction without you doing it for them. So on the students board, again, because these are set to clone, they can say, okay, I want to clone this. I want to clone this. And let me check my answer. Is this 120? Right? It says finished collection. It says, no, it's not, right? This is wrong. So then, okay, let me put one more of these in here. Now I can check again. Then you got 100%. So it actually does auto correction for anything. It doesn't care what it is. You can put images from the internet, from your own palette, from coins, notes, even animals. It doesn't really care what you're putting in there. Let me pause here for see if there are questions.
Do we have short videos for these features?
Yes, we do. We also have this thing which is quite useful. So if you go to the help menu here, you can say links to help videos. Right? This brings up this PDF, which picks the relevant sections of the webinar. So if you want to pick one of the features, you can search to what you want to find, and then it'll pick the right side, part of the webinar to show you, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Right? We of course on our on our channel, you can see like how do you add autocorrect, drag and drop objects, right? So there are short videos in here, right? So you can search on our channel, you can search on that YouTube thing, or ask in the Facebook group, or reach out to us directly. We are happy to create new videos too.
Yep. And can you show again how you added the autocorrect button?
Yeah. So just like you do, go to tools, you say add link. In the add link, there are 3 types of links, right? So when there's a link to a website, it's a page in this book, or an autocorrect. So that's put autocorrect and it will create this button for you. And you can do auto correction for text also. This is just the auto correction for drag and drop objects. You can do auto correction for text boxes too. And then it's the same method. You just put a text box here. You right click and say add answers and points. Right? So it's worth 1 point. The right answer, let's say, is ABC. Right? And then the kids get to put the right answer. I took out the autocorrect button. But you can also autocorrect a single kid's board. So if we just go here and say open class boards, remember to put the right page number. So the page number 5, I want to correct student page 5. Right? So if they raise their hand, so there you go. You can actually see that it marked that one as well. Okay. So that's one use of the drop zone. The other use of the drop zone is pretty cool too. So you can actually go here and put the drop zone. Let me put a couple of them. You can use it for very many different things. Right? So I've put 4 of them. Right. Again, instead of making add answers and points, you just say make auto counter. All of them, you can make them to do auto counting. Right? And now, for example, if the kids, you want to teach the kids something, they can open the manipulative, or you can put the manipulative out there for them so they don't have to search through it. So then if they put in, let's say, the blocks, it automatically counts it for them. Right? So it'll say, okay, what is this number? And you're creating it on its own, right? So it'll add it up automatically. And the same thing it actually does with algebraic tiles as well. So it does it with base 10 blocks. It also does it with algebraic tiles. So you can see that it will put in x squared. It will put the equation automatically based on what the kids are putting in here. Right? It also does it for place value disks. So if you have place value disks, it will do the same thing, the counting automatically. Right? The counter. And it also does it for US currency, because people asked us to put US currency. We can add other currencies too if you want. So you can say there's a $5. Oops, why? Oh. So this is, it does it for fractional tiles too, which I should show you. Let me reset this. Go back to manipulatives, and then you have the fractional tiles here. It'll also do it for the fractional tiles on its own. So you can see that it is adding fractions as well. So it helps with doing several different activities using the same drop zone feature. Any questions, sir?
Yeah, there was just one request on showing how you can paste a picture from the internet to the board.
Sure. You can just go to images.google.com. Let's search for what is the Mars Perseverance, right? Let's show one more thing. So you can see, you can pick any picture and say, okay, I want, either you snip it or you can just paste the whole thing. Right? And then you go back, copy it to your clipboard. You go here and just say paste, and it'll paste it onto the whiteboard directly. There you go. Right, I can resize it then, and I can actually make this part of my palette too. So if I want to make this part of my palette, I can just right click and say, hey, add to palette, and it will come into my palette here into my object section. So then I can use it for subsequent lessons or forever, or people just put their bit emojis there as well. So you can put a lot of things in your own palette as well. Another thing we added is the ability to create jigsaw puzzles. So you can actually pick any object and say, make jigsaw. Right? You can say how many pieces you want, let's say around 6 pieces, and it'll create a jigsaw puzzle for me, right, out of it. And then I can scramble it. This automatically sets it to students can move. So I can just scramble it around and then have the kids put it back together. Right? And you can use it to create an example, right? And then you can go here and the kids will have the ability to, they can use the move and resize tool to try and put that together as well. Right? There you go. So you get the idea. Okay. Clear that. We recently added a breakdown tool as well. So I will show you that. Delete this kind of file. Okay, sometimes. So if things get stuck, it's better to refresh. Okay, anyway, so you can go to manipulatives. So this is cool. You can actually put like base 10 manipulatives, or you can put, again, coins from the US currency. So let's say I put a tail, right? So here, and then you can use the drop breakdown tool here to easily break it down to, so that like the 100 block gets converted to 10 blocks and so forth. So you can break it down to further if you want to. So this helps. The kids can use it, of course, right? And you can demonstrate subtraction or reconstruction, whatever else with it. And the same thing happens with coins too. So you can say, hey, 50 cents is 2 quarters, and this is 5 pennies, and this is 5 nickels, right? So you can use that as well. And if you have suggestions for more things you want us to break down, it's super easy for us to add. Once we have the tool, we can break down bills, other currencies, whatever else that you can think about, we can add. All right. Any questions, Sid?
No, new questions, Pawan. You can keep going.
All right. So what I'll do is that I'll show you how to create group boards and group activities, and maybe we can join that together, and then you can play with the board that we just created. Right. So I'm going to create a new board. Right. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to upload my continents file to see where people are joining from. Okay, and then I'll put some manipulators here. So click the manipulator to say, we recently added Passover and holy stickers. Let's use holy stickers. This one. And maybe another Passover one. Let's put a lamb. And then you say move and resize. You make them smaller. Right. The first task is to enable student loan. Enable student loan. And then say place the image where you live. Right. Another thing a lot of people ask is how do you resize this guy when you're typing text? So you just drag the right corner while you're typing and you can make the text box bigger. So it's easier to type longer sentences versus it puts them together. Right. So that's the first task. On the second task, second page, what we can do is that we can create another activity where you say, okay, we can do a drop zone activity. Let's see if we can do that one. Right, so I can say, so I can put 100 block here and say the right answer is 20 actually. So let's see if we can do that. Add answers and points. With 2 points. And then this one you can say enable student flow. Right, and then so page number 3, we can say, I think that's enough. Okay, so so to create a escape room, so we can say to go from page 1 to page 2, you can add a password, right, which people can solve a puzzle or do anything to say I want to add a password, right? So we can say to go from page 1 to page 2, you have to enter a password which is, let's say, ABC, right? Only if you enter the right password, then you can go to page number 2, right? And to go from page number 2 to 3, because we are solving this, we can actually say toggle password and say score in the last page. So you can say you have to score 100% in the last page to actually go to page number 3. Right? You can give a different percentage if you want, right? It doesn't need to be 100%. And then we'll also add an autocorrect button here. So go here and say add link. Oops, I have to close this guy. And say autocorrect. Say test. And then there you go. Right. So now we have a escape room which has 3 pages. To go from page 1 to page 2, you have to enter a password. To go from page 2 to page 3, you have to score the right score, right? And then the page 3 is congratulations, you have escaped. Right. So you can easily create a virtual escape room out of this whiteboard.chat, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give this off to you guys so you can try it as an individual activity first, and then we'll create a group activity as well while you're playing this. There you go. So you can join it, and then you can start to play that game that I just created. And okay. I can have the same student do that too. Sid, your question?
Yes, a couple of questions. Is it also possible to break down your euro currency?
We haven't added it, but we can easily add it. So we can add, it's a good idea.
All right. And is it possible to search for objects in the manipulatives panel?
Kind of, you can search by name. So you can actually go to manipulatives, you can go to search, right? You can say like 100 blocks, so it will find you all the blocks, but you have to know the name of what you're looking for.
Thanks.
You can also add things on your own to your own palette. So even from ours, if you like this lamp, for example, you can say add to palette, and it'll put it in your palette, right? So then you can use it for your own use cases. Right, so that's the first. So, and of course, you can watch everybody in the grid view as they're playing the game. Right. If you get stuck as a student, you can press this clear button and it'll reset the board to what the teacher wanted you to have. If clear it and then refresh it, it'll take it back to exactly what the teacher had earlier. So remember, because you have to make 20 in this block, you actually have to break it down first. Only then you can use it, or you can put it from the manipulators directly if you want to.
Can you show a little bit about the manage boards pages as well? I think there's some teachers who are unable to find their previous boards.
Yeah. So if you go to, so you should give this board a name so it's easier to find. It's March 24th, session 1. Right. And then remember to press enter, and then you can go to manage boards. And then you can look for the board that you just created. It takes a while because I have thousands of boards. Right, so here you go. You can see your board and all the student boards that are associated with that automatically. Right, so all of the boards are in one place. They get saved automatically. You have to make sure that they don't expire. So you can extend the expiry date by clicking this button, and it will extend it out by a month. You can also find the community boards here. Right, if you have community boards, you want to reference how other teachers use it, you can look through here. You can also search if it's a certain subject. Let's say you want math, you want to see only math boards, you can search for math boards here. Okay. So yeah, and then if you want to go to page number 2, you have to enter the password, which was ABC, right? Only then you are allowed to go to the second page. And then here you can create you can use this breakdown tool to break this down. Right? So first you have to clone it, because remember, you cannot move any of the teacher's objects. So you clone it, then you use the breakdown tool to break it down. Then I can put 2 of these here. I should have put instructions and said, okay, 20 is the right answer. Then only I can go to page number 3. Right? So that's it, and you're done. Right? So I'll create another board. Is there any questions, Sid?
Yeah, can you show again, how do you break it down?
Sure. So to break it down, because the students cannot move the teacher's objects, so they have to create a copy, right? So they have to say, hey, move and resize, make a copy, and then you can use the breakdown tool here to break it down. Right? And you can break down anything. Okay. And like I said, if you want to clear, go back to what teacher intended to you have, you can easily clear it, and it'll take you exactly back to what the teacher had.
Okay. One question about the resizing images. So I like how the teacher asked the question, how do I make the sheet smaller to fit it in Italy?
So you have to move it first. So use the move and resize tool. So you move it such that you get a clone copy, and then you can just drag the corner, right? And then you can put it on Italy if you want to. All right. So the second thing I'm going to show you is how we can pre-create groups and create group games. So this is quite useful too. So I'm going to create a new board. So I go back, say start teaching, right? And in this case, we'll play bingo, right? Like just like what we always do. So you can say, but instead of a single person playing, we can have two people playing bingo together or multiple people. So we can say upload, oops, not upload file. You can say upload bingo. You can say animal feeling bingo. And while that loads, I can also find my widgets. Okay. And then you can put a spinner here, right? So, and then you can change the spinner to have all the feelings. Angry, shy, shocked, scared, sad, proud, happy, confused. It make sure these two are checked so that students can play with it. So you can see now it is created. I can move it to the side a little bit. Yeah, I can put some other objects if you want to cover things with it. So maybe some candies, a waffle, a gingerbread man. Right, again, you can say enable student loan, enable student loan. And now this is my board is ready. So now what I can do is I can pre-create groups. So I go to my avatar icon, you can say create group board. Right, you can say pre-create groups. Now, how many people do we have? 24. So we can say, let's create 5 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so it will create 5 groups. Right, so it's created 5 groups. And that's it. Now, when you invite the students, when they join this, again, you can copy the invite from here. They'll be asked for the group that they are part of, right? And then whichever group they are part of, they will, so just randomly pick any number between 1 through 5, and hopefully we can get equal distribution. So I posted that on the Zoom chat as well. So you can join that group.
So the question about the spinner, Pawan, the question is, can we change the orientation of the arrow of the spinner so it is horizontal rather than vertical? So yeah, we get that question quite often from teachers. One option right now is that you just draw an arrow there and use that as your pointer. We will look into just being able to move that pointer around as well. I think it might be quite convenient since we've got that request from at least four or five different teachers already. But yeah, for now you can just draw an arrow sideways and then use that as the pointer.
So now, yeah, so if you can see that now you can join this, nobody's on this group. If you have to make sure you can see that people are on the group boards, right? You can on top, and you can when you spin it, you can see people spinning, and then you can put the waffle or whatever else on top of the tiles, right? So you can create your own group activities, right? You can, other teachers have shared some group activities as well, right? And then you can see people spinning stuff, playing on the group games as well. Any questions, Sid?
If the students join the wrong group, can they get out and join a different one?
So the only way they can they'll have to reset their board. So the only way is to go to whiteboard.chat/reset, or you can go to the home page and reset it, right? And then when you come back, you'll be again asked for your group. So if I go reset, go back, right? And then you'll be asked for your name again, and then say, okay, I want to go to group 3 instead. Right? So that's the only way. You can also create voice and chatting. So you can create chat. So you can, if I create chat here, the chat actually live translates to 100 different languages as well. But when you are doing group activities, then the people in that group can chat with each other as well, right? And the teacher still gets a copy of the chat. So the teacher also knows what the kids are talking about in each of the groups, but all the participants of the group can chat with each other right in here too. You can also enable audio video conferencing. That's also pretty cool. If I do that, it'll ask all you guys for your microphone access. You can either deny it or set it. But if you go to the 3 dots menu and say start audio video call, right, it'll start a conference bridge for each group, right? So it'll ask you, does it allow you, do you want it to allow conference? And then the kids can talk to each other, right? And the cool thing is that as a teacher, you can listen into any of the groups really easily. So you can say, hey, if I want to listen to group 5, I can just click group 5 and click join audio right from here, right? And then I can hear what group 5 is talking about. It takes a minute or so to join, but you can hear what group 5 is talking about. And then if you can go to another group, you can join their audio and so forth. So you can actually join multiple different audio bridges right from the grid view or from here, right? So this is also a new feature we recently added. All right, anything else, Sid?
Yeah, so there's a really nice suggestion from one teacher about being able to give the teacher a control to reset a student's board. So if it's possible to do that, that might be much easier for younger students.
So unfortunately, it won't. We can, yeah, probably. Yeah, there may be a way to do that. Yeah, because it's resetting the settings on the browser, but the kids will still get a dialog box or something to appear on their in front that they have to press to reset it. But yeah, the teacher can trigger it.
Yeah.
Or we can think about different ways to do that. All right. Is there any other feature that you guys are interested in me covering, which I haven't done so far? I'd be happy to do that. But I think we covered most of the new stuff we added. We added the group things. So most of the new features we covered already. Yeah, you can do grids, nothing new. Yeah, I think we covered most of the advanced features that we have typically. So I think that's good. So if you have any questions, you can either unmute and talk, or you can type it out.
There's a question: is this going to be free?
It is free. A lot of the intention is to keep it free for educators. A lot of teachers are asking us for extended storage because, like I was showing you, the boards do expire, and that costs us a lot of money, right? So we may start charging teachers for extended storage if they want to keep it for longer and they don't want to keep refreshing their boards. Of course, you can download your boards. So if you want to save your boards, you can go to manage book. You can say export board, and this will save it on your drive. So whatever work you create, you can import it at any given time later on if you want to, and you can export it. But if people just want the convenience of saving it in the cloud, so maybe they can buy storage from, pay the cloud storage fee that we have to pay. That may be another option. But all the features, all the stuff that I was showing you is all free.
Is there an option to bring objects to the front?
Not right now. The layering isn't there. We'll probably add it. It's like pulling teeth, so it requires some amount of surgery on our side to make sure we can maintain the layering properly. So we'll probably add it maybe during the summertime, but right now it's not there. You can send objects to the back, but you cannot layer them properly.
Yeah, if you save a board, how does it work when you want to use it again? Do the cloned objects and widgets still work?
Yeah. So if you have exported the board, or you have saved a copy or sent it to another teacher or published it to community, any of those, all the objects that you have set to clone or move or everything still works as is. It will come back exactly the way it is right now.
So there's a teacher named Clara. Do you want to get off mute and maybe ask your question about the science and the spinner that you wanted to ask?
Maybe she's not there. Okay. Anyways,
Good afternoon.
Hi.
I'm a teacher. I'm a science teacher from Puerto Rico, and I'm trying to learn how to do spinners, and I cannot put questions on them because it cuts the questions.
Oh, you're saying because the size is too small, that's why it cuts it?
Right. Currently, the length of text that you can have on the spinner is limited, because otherwise it's hard to make it all fit correctly. But if you can give me an idea of what type of questions you're trying to put in there, that would help us think a little bit about how we can accommodate it. So let me put.
For example, I put, what are the 3 states of matters, and it doesn't put it all.
Yeah, it cuts it off.
Yeah, no, that's intentional, that it's limited to a small amount of text so that it can fit in the spinner. So is okay.
So how could I put it so they could answer? That's very.
Okay. We'll definitely think about it a little bit. We may be able to accommodate multiple lines, so that way it might fit in a little bit. Or if you make it much larger, then we can try and fit that text in. So thanks so much for the suggestion.
Okay, thank you very much.
I like that idea from Francesca. Can you put the questions down on the board and then put the numbers of the questions on the spinner and have them spin that instead of the whole question?
It's an indirection. Yeah. So that's why we said, right, if you join the Facebook group, teachers come up with such unique ways to use this tool that we cannot even think about it. So if you share your questions, people will come up with unique answers. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording. I wanted to thank you all you guys to come join us today. We'll be here for some more time if you want to keep asking questions.